They say true love never fades, but what if the one you love slowly forgets how to love you back? I used to believe Daniel Cole and I were perfect together. 3 years of laughter, travels, and carefully curated memories online made it easy to believe we had it all. But behind those photos, something had shifted. The warmth between us had turned cold, replaced by short calls, rescheduled dates, and an emptiness I couldn't explain. That evening, after another fight about how busy he was, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my coat and walked out into the night, the rain disguising my tears. I wandered aimlessly until I found myself standing before a small jazz bar called The Lounge, warm light spilling onto the wet sidewalk. I went in, craving silence more than music. That's when I met Ryan Carter, a quiet man sitting alone by the bar, eyes soft but observant. Rough night? He asked gently. More like a rough few months, I said with a shaky laugh. We talked for hours about nothing and everything. He didn't pry or judge, he just listened. For the first time in months, I felt seen. When I finally stood to leave, he smiled and said, "You deserve someone who remembers how to love you." Those words followed me home, echoing louder than the storm outside. The next morning, Daniel sent flowers with a note. "Let's fix this." Minutes later, a text from Ryan appeared. "Coffee later? Just to talk." 2 messages. 2 men. 1 heart caught in between. I told myself I wouldn't see Ryan again. But fate, it seems, had other ideas. 2 weeks later, my company hosted a charity gala, and there he was. Ryan looked effortlessly confident, his laughter blending with the soft jazz in the background. Our eyes met across the room, and for a moment, the noise around us faded. Daniel was by my side that night, charming as ever. But when he noticed Ryan, the air shifted. Jealousy flickered in his eyes, sharp, sudden, and unfamiliar. The days that followed were chaos. Daniel became more possessive, questioning my every move, while Ryan was the calm I couldn't stop craving. I didn't mean to fall into that piece, it just happened. One rainy night, after a brutal argument with Daniel, I drove to Ryan's apartment. I didn't plan to, I just needed to breathe. When he opened the door and saw my face, he said nothing, just pulled me into a quiet embrace. The silence between us was heavy with everything we couldn't say. When our lips met, it wasn't lust, it was surrender. "Ryan, I shouldn't be here." "Then tell me you're happy with him," he whispered. I couldn't. I left before sunrise, guilt pressing down like lead. The next morning, Daniel noticed my unease and suddenly proposed, moving our wedding forward as if a ring could hold together what was already crumbling. The night before my bridal shower, I received a message that changed everything, a picture of Daniel in a hotel room with another woman, sent anonymously. When I confronted Daniel, my hands trembled. "Who is she?" I demanded. He froze, no denial, no excuse, just silence. And in that silence, I heard the truth. I called Ryan. He confessed that a friend of his, Daniel's ex, had sent him the picture, afraid he'd walk blindly into a lie. He hadn't wanted to show me, but he couldn't stand by and watch me marry a man who lived 2 lives. My heart shattered, not because of Ryan, not even because of Daniel, but because I realized how far I'd drifted from myself. I had spent so long trying to be enough that I'd forgotten who I was. So I left. I packed a small bag and escaped to a quiet coastal town where nobody knew my name. I spent months painting, journaling, and healing in silence. Slowly, the nose faded. The pain softened. I began to see myself clearly again. When I finally came back to the city, I opened my own art studio, a space born from everything it survived. On opening night, as laughter and soft music filled the room, I heard a voice behind me. "You actually did it," Ryan said, a smile tugging at his lips. "I had to," I whispered, eyes shimmering. I needed to remember who I was. We talked for hours, not as 2 unhappy people searching for love, but as 2 souls who had finally learned what love truly meant. I didn't find love in the wrong arms. I found it in the right one after learning to love myself first. Was I wrong for falling for Ryan while still with Daniel? Should Ryan have sent that picture? Was Daniel's betrayal karma or coincidence? Have you ever stayed too long in a love that no longer felt safe? Let's hear in the comments section if this story whispered to you. Please like and share.